Welcome to Koreareports. We deliver you in-depth coverage of South Korea's culture, business, and technology, all from the heart of Seoul. I'm your new host, Cindy Chun. Coming up. We speak with Young-Joo Ham, the president of KB Hana Bank, and ask him about the global strategy that KB Hana Bank is taking after its merger in 2015. In this part March, ultrafine dust pollution reached its highest level ever in South Korean history. We'll tell you about the causes and show you what the government is doing to try to solve this problem. Banks in South Korea are standing in the precipice of change. The domestic market has reached its maturity and the growth in the industry has peaked. There have been a lot of aggressive takeovers and acquisitions in the banking sector. Among the various mergers, the tie-up of Hana Bank and the Korean Exchange Bank created the biggest bank by assets. The president of KB Hana Bank, Young-Joo Ham, has successfully executed on both merging and the integration. And he has now revealed his plan to aggressively expand into the international market using the vast global network acquired through this mega merger. We met with President Ham and talked about KB Hana Bank's differentiation strategy and about its success in the Korean banking industry. Hana Bank merged with Korea Exchange Bank in September 1st, 2015. The new bank boosted the largest amount of assets among South Korean banks. KB Hana Bank has corporate bodies in 24 countries, doing more business abroad than any of its peers. And its goal is to become the #1 bank in the world. President Ham has worked nearly 40 years in the banking industry. And he knows the key to a successful entry into the global market lies in the implementation of the localization strategy that puts people first, along with the diversification of profit sources based on a global network. Thank you, Mr. Young-Joo Ham, for sitting with me at this hour for the interview.
Yes, thank you. Nice to meet you.
I heard that you choose your tie color every time you go into an interview. Is that also your choice today?
아침에 그런 생각을 했습니다.
I thought to myself this morning, what will I be talking about at today's interview with SBS? If I were to talk about global strategies, I would like to show a color of passion. That's why I chose red.
이래서 한번 맞춰봤습니다.
So let's go on with the first question. What is the global strategy that KB Hana Bank is taking since last year's merger?
뭐 아시다시피 저희 KB하나은행이
As you know, we've faced a number of challenges since then. It's true that we put in a lot of effort to create a synergy effect through integration. Obviously, the current financial market is going through a rough patch. Low interest rates and low growth have forced banks to change the very nature of their business. Where do you create profit? To answer this question, you have to change your entire way of thinking. KB Hana Bank has two advantages compared to other banks. First, there's our competitive advantage on the global networking front. We're more competitive than any other bank in that regard. Another is that we are the forerunners in the foreign exchange sector. So, like you said, we've put a lot of effort on global strategies since the merger. What are our options for overcoming the current limits in our profit sources? One solution is the global market. To be more concrete, I'll give you 2 or 3 examples. Taking a business overseas to make money? That's not an easy undertaking. A lot of foreign banks have recently withdrawn or are planning to withdraw from South Korea.
특히 유럽 쪽에
특히 유럽 쪽에서
Yes, a lot has to do with the unique characteristics of each country, regulations, and customers that are different from what those foreign companies initially projected. We're aware of this problem on the global strategy front and are trying to avoid the same mistake. To be more specific, we concluded that it won't be easy to make money in the banking sector in the future, which is why we decided to invest more heavily in the non-banking sector. Leasing, asset management, reinsurance, you name it. We're going to broaden our business in the non-banking sector through equity investments. Second, I think the thing that matters most in a company's global strategy is people. Doing business with South Korean companies overseas just doesn't cut it anymore. We have reached an impasse on that. That's why localization is necessary. We have to look at the people and companies that have a great reputation in the region we want to do business. That's why investing in talent through localization is the core of our second global strategy. We want to actively invest in local experts who can eventually help us do business not with South Korean companies, but with foreign companies and customers overseas.
현지화 전략이
네,
통했기 때문에.
통했기 때문에 가능했다. 이렇게 저희는.
Yes, we believe that our localization efforts worked out, and that's why we succeeded. Third, globalization isn't about opening branches all over the world. As you well know, with the uncertainty in the banking sector rising, we need to find a way to diversify our profit sources. At this point, it's all about selection and focus. We need to examine our current network to see if there are any regions we either reinforce or relocate to in order to create profit. Lastly, everybody is talking about fintech nowadays, so we're looking into strategies that will enable us to adopt this concept in the mobile area through our global platform as well. We believe that in markets like China, India, Japan, and Taiwan, we can establish a foothold through our global finance platform. Eventually, it will be a contest in the retail banking sector.
승부를 걸을 생각입니다. 이상입니다.
Still ahead, more of our conversation with KB Hana Bank President Ham. Find out about his global market expansion strategies and about markets that KB Hana is focusing on. Executing a localization strategy in the banking sector alone has its limits, according to the KB Hana Bank President, Young-Ju Ham. What new profit sources does he expect to uncover through his company's global network, spanning a total of 24 countries? Let's find out. KB Hana Bank is investing heavily in Indonesia. Last year, your firm invested 30 billion won to build an IT firm in Indonesia,
네.
and this year, your firm is also planning to expand branches. Can we say that KB Hana Bank is taking Indonesia as a strategic stepping stone into expanding into the Southeast Asian market, and why?
맞습니다. 사실은 이제 인도네시아.
Right, as a matter of fact, we established an IT corporation in Indonesia not too long ago. The purpose was to invest our IT expertise in the global market in order to find new profit sources. As you said, there are currently many local corporate bodies successfully doing business in Indonesia, and we thought it would be a good idea to take advantage of their success to expand our marketing to IT areas in other markets. Let me clarify on this a little more. I made a trip to Indonesia recently. Except for KB Bank, every other major bank in South Korea is set to expand to Indonesia. Almost everyone is considering an aggressive expansion into the country because it has a large population, especially when it comes to young people. It has the potential to grow, and its economic growth maintained an average of 5.5% over the last 5 years. You can see what it must have been like when South Korea was in the stage of rapid growth in the past. So Indonesia is the key in Southeast Asia, and we're preparing ourselves based on that assessment. A lot of South Korean banks have already entered the Indonesian market, but KEB Hana is the one that stands out. Up until last year, we've made a total of 57.6 billion won in profits, and that number has grown about 40% year on year. Our operating strategy is based thoroughly on localization. We currently have 55 branches, not counting 2 more branches that we are planning to add this year. There are a number of promising companies that are doing business there, which means there are plenty of opportunities to create a large profit. And as I said before, Indonesia has a large population. We're aiming to make them our loyal customers the same way we do in South Korea.
영업을 하고 있습니다.
And what other overseas market is the bank considering on entering?
지금 현재로는 이제 아까 말씀드린 것처럼
For now, we're currently operating in 24 countries. Banks are having a tough time right now, so simply increasing our branches overseas isn't the answer. We plan to concentrate our efforts on countries that have the most potential. Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia hold a lot of resources and have large populations, which is why we're preparing to set up new branches in Indonesia. In Mexico, we see a lot of political uncertainty after the election of President Trump, but we're planning to establish a corporate body there as well and look out for opportunities.
한번 살필 생각입니다.
Seems that KB Hana Bank is really taking global advancing strategy seriously. Can you tell us about some of the achievements that KB Hana Bank had, the global strategies involving local banks and non-bank institutions?
저희가 자랑하고 싶습니다. 사실은 이제 뭐
We're very proud of that. In fact, we were the first among the South Korean banks to attempt this. One good example of our equity investment is our involvement with the Bank of Jilin in China. Bank of Jilin is located in Jilin province. We have invested a total of 370 billion won, all equity investments. We own approximately 16.98% of Bank of Jilin. As you know, there are a lot of local banks in China. Bank of Jilin is located in the area mostly known to us as Yanji or Yanbian, so investing in Bank of Jilin has a nationalistic meaning to it as well. We consider it a relative success because we've created a 29% profit on around 100 billion won through dividends so far. Equity value has risen more than 2 times since, so I'd call it a success. Equity investments other than in banks include investments in leasing companies, reinsurance companies, and asset managements. Banks have their own regulations and unique licenses based on their countries, so it's not easy to make profit from them. That's why we have looked into various types of equity investments as part of our current strategy.
수익을 기대하고 있습니다.
KB Hana Bank had amazing results in 2016. How was the outcome, especially in the global sector?
예, 크게 저희가 한번 말씀을 드리면 이제
Eventually, we want to become a bank that specializes in global business. We already have some accomplishments in the finance sector. Last year, we had a global profit of around 330 billion won. It's nearly 20% of our gross profit. Generating a synergy effect through integration is our top priority, and therefore implementing our global strategy has become the key objective of KEB Hana. We already announced our plans to raise profits to 40% by 2025. From now on, we will focus on investing in areas that have the most growth potential and creating the profit we're aiming for.
투자를 해야 된다고 생각합니다.
Many Korean banks are expanding globally. What could be KB Hana Bank's unique strategy?
아주 좋은 질문 해주셨어요. 저희가 고민하는
That's a good question. It's what we think about all the time. Quite frankly, there are 2 main reasons behind the merger of Hana Bank and Korea Exchange Bank. One is to acquire the status Korea Exchange Bank holds in the foreign exchange sector. That much is obvious. Another is the strong network in the global business area. But does that alone create profit? I don't think so. So far, I told you about our global strategies in general, but this is something we all have to think about. The knowledge and expertise that Korea Exchange Bank had on the foreign exchange side, together with the global network, is something that we actively have to take advantage of in order to create various types of profits. I already told you about the equity investments in both the banking and the non-banking sectors, but I would like to add something to that, and that is capital and IB. On the capital front, there are people willing to invest both abroad and at home. We have it in ourselves to offer the best services in terms of capital brokerage. Secondly, in terms of IB, we already have teams that specialize in IB finance and products. We also have experts for overseas infrastructure investments. We have established a desk in New York, and we're currently considering setting up one in London as well. We're not just expanding the number of our global networks, but we're also trying to find profit sources through these very networks. A lot of competition for new profit sources on the capital and IB front is to be expected, but we're trying to be one step ahead with new systems, talents, and new groundwork.
만들어낼 자신이 있고요.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Ham. It was a great pleasure talking with you today.
감사합니다.
South Koreans hacked and coughed their way through spring. Concentrations of ultrafine dust in the air reached their highest level in history. What's behind this pollution? And what are government leaders and citizens doing about it? Find out when Koreareports returns. Waking up to a view of hazy, dusty skyline is normal for Seoul residents now. People start the day by checking the concentration of ultrafine dust in the air. Can the dream of blue skies in the spring ever become a reality again? Min Jun-myung tries to find out.
Spring in South Korea brings warmer weather, allowing flowers to bloom across the nation. People head outdoors to enjoy the sun and scenery. But the changing of the seasons brings with an unwelcome guest, fine dust.
많이 불편하죠.
It causes a lot of inconvenience in our daily lives. You can't even open the windows of your house for ventilation as frequently as you want.
Fine dust has become a serious problem in South Korea. Ultrafine dust in particular was declared a Group 1 human carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer of the World Health Organization. That means it is as serious a health hazard as smoking. South Korean scientists teamed up with NASA last June to monitor air quality over the Korean peninsula. They clearly observed a wide swath of pollution even on days when the fine dust alert level was deemed good. Earlier this year, the Financial Times listed Seoul among the world's 3 most polluted cities, along with Beijing and New Delhi. The World Economic Forum Tourism Competitiveness Report shows how serious the air quality problem is in South Korea. The country saw its ranking in fine dust management sink to its lowest level, 130th out of 136 nations. This was the worst year for smog in South Korea in the past 3 years. Korea Environment Corporation officials issued 129 fine dust advisories in the first quarter of this year, 59 times more than the same period in 2016. South Koreans are learning to live with what has been dubbed an apocalypse. What are the main causes of this toxic air? Many experts point to coal-fired power plants, car exhaust, and a rapidly industrializing China.
2012년 이후 초미세먼지가 정체된
The air pollution problem has gotten serious in South Korea since 2012, not just because of gas emission from factories or cars, but also because of dust particles blown in from China.
The South Korean Environment Ministry introduced its fine dust advisory system in February 2014. And since then, checking fine dust concentration levels has become a ritual for many Koreans. Some carry portable air quality monitors to measure the concentration in real time. Others use smartphone apps to check air pollution levels frequently. Then there are fine dust-related sales. Air purifiers, for example, are just some of the products flying off the shelves.
요즘 황사가도 심하다 보니까
The air pollution problem has become so serious these days. I have become more concerned about air quality. That's why I'm here to buy an air purifier.
Home appliances retailers said their sales of the purifiers skyrocketed during the first quarter year-on-year and nearly tripled from 3 years earlier.
최근에 미세먼지가 좀 많이 심각하게
We've got an increasing number of customer inquiries about air purifiers and other seasonal home appliances. Actually, our customer sales have increased 20% year-over-year.
Clothes dryers are also in high demand, as more people are reluctant to air out their laundry because of the fine dust. Manufacturers have been scrambling to keep up with the increased order volume. Protective masks has also become a must-have item. 5 times more masks have been sold so far this year compared to last year. And online sales of masks this spring skyrocketed 870% year-on-year.
아무래도 숨이 차고 조금 덥긴 한데 그래도
Wearing a mask makes me feel a little stifled, but at the same time, it makes me feel a little reassured that the mask will filter out fine dust.
Masks have evolved into fashion items. Embroidered, colorful, or patterned versions has become so popular with younger generations that online stores specializing in these products have popped up. Foods known to have detoxifying effects have also gained popularity. Broccoli, for example, can help with respiratory diseases. Water parsley is known to help remove acid buildup from the body. Online marketplace auction said sales of broccoli and water parsley for the month rose 135% and 70% respectively from a year earlier. The worsening fine dust issue has thrust environmental firms into the spotlight. They provide solutions for indoor and atmospheric air quality. The related market size is expected to quadruple to almost 4 trillion won by 2020. Fine dust has changed everyday life for many South Koreans, and it's regarded as one of the most pressing issues for the government to tackle. Officials with Seoul Municipal Government has been quick to react. Those with Seoul Metropolitan Office of Education decided to have air purifiers installed in every classroom and shorten the school day if a fine dust alert is issued.
It's quite a pity that air pollution stifles students' hands-on learning activities, which is equivalent to an educational disaster.
Environment Ministry officials say they will loosen requirements for issuing a traffic ban of odd-even license plates. The measure is carried out when the atmospheric concentration levels of ultrafine dust are high in the Seoul metropolitan area. But many experts argue more drastic measures should be taken to solve South Korean fine dust problem.
하나하나의 정책이 다 중요하지만 그것들을
Every policy counts, but I think it's more important to consider a whole menu of policy instruments and figure out how effective each policy will be in reducing fine dust when they are implemented.
Some South Koreans have gone even further to taking it upon themselves to solve air quality problem. Some K-pop fans even launched a project to plant forests under their favorite artist name. As you can see, Super Junior's fan club planted these trees as a birthday gift for their idol. The Shinhwa Forest, where Shinhwa's Chinese fan club planted 2,000 trees, will be opening soon in southern Seoul. By planting trees, these fans play a role in creating a place of natural comfort in urban areas. And the trees help purify the air. Seoul municipal government officials announced they will hold an environmental exhibition in June and figure out ways to reduce levels of fine dust. South Koreans are looking forward to the day when they will be able to live without worrying about the quality of the air they breathe, when they won't have to remember to bring masks or air quality monitors with them when they leave their homes.
And that is all for this edition's Korea Report. Thank you for being with us today and hope to see you again next time.